Man, oh man, 3-1, boys. We are up in the series. Welcome in. This is the Daily Wolves courtside. People are joining, and I just so happen to have this handy right now for the Golden State Warriors. That's belt to ass, belt to fucking ass. Sorry for the language, but we just absolutely belt to ass them. Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle, incredible games from them. They single-handedly kind of beat down the Warriors. I felt like those two were just awesome tonight. We're going to get into everything on the show. But what do you think, I guess, first of the game overall, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, it was another gross win. They were large parts of the game. Their offense just completely dried up. They really relied on their defense again to just slow everything down and take another one. And they're up 3-1. I mean, yes, Steph Curry is injured, so there will be a little bit of an asterisk on this no matter what. But you only, as the Boston Celtics will tell you last year, you can only play the teams that are in front of you. And they're going to make a second consecutive Western Conference Finals, which is wild considering how many ups and downs this team has had.
Oh yeah, man. What do you think, Matt, of the game too? You saw everything that was on there tonight. You saw Julius balling, you saw Ant balling. A little bit of struggles here and there with the team, but overall they got the win, man. What'd you think of the game?
Yeah, all in all, like aside from like the rough start in the first quarter and whatever that disaster was to end the game, I thought this was just like the perfect telltale of kind of how this season has went for us post Julius Randle coming back. You just have Julius absolutely eating and dominating the whole first quarter. Then you come out in the second half and Ant just lights him up, does what Ant does best, just puts the game away and really puts it out of reach. And then even the role guys, like you saw it with Jaden. Jaden shot 50% from the field tonight, 10 points, 13 rebounds for Jaden as well. Mike Conley did exactly what he needed to do tonight, plus 17 in the box score, 11 points, 5 assists. Nikhil didn't miss a shot. Nikhil does exactly what you need. And it's just all these little things. Like you're going to have off games, like kind of like Nas had tonight. But all in all, the team played absolutely great. So 3-1, one game away from a second consecutive Western Conference Finals appearance. So I only have good things to say.
What'd you think of Mike's game? That's your guy, Andrew. How was his game tonight? I thought he was fantastic, but I got to hear your take always on Conley's game.
Yeah, I mean, this is just what he means to the team. When games are like this, where they're gross and ugly and you need to work in the half court, Mike can set everything up. He can tell Ant and tell the rest of the team what is the defense that's lining up, and they can just execute it. I thought Mike was really good tonight. I'll be honest. It's interesting where the Warriors decided to kind of like attack the defense because they picked on Dante a ton and just kind of left Mike alone when he was out there. The Wolves made a pretty quick adjustment saying, we're really not going to play Rudy a ton this game, which I thought was interesting given how he finished last night's game. But all around, I mean, really, like Matt said, the role players showed up, which usually role players play better at home. So it's nice to see Nikhil have, a really good road game in this playoffs. Dante wasn't terrible. I mean, he struggled all playoffs. I'm sure we'll find out more after the season if he's dealing with an injury or if something's going on. But as it stands, he's playing minutes, and I think maybe this is just a bad matchup for him. But you look at the rest of the team, and Randle was awesome. He carried him through the first quarter, scored the first 5 points for this team. Jaden was, again, fantastic. I mean, he is just really coming out in front of everybody's eyes of just he is more than a defender. And then the other thing I'd say is just, that third quarter run where Ant just all of a sudden popped off. The big three, if you will, of Ant, Julius, and Jaden, in the 7 minutes and 53 seconds they played together in the third quarter, they had a 178.6 offensive rating, and their defensive rating was a 53.3. So they were tripling the Warriors when those three got going in the third quarter. And that was Ant popping off with threes. That was Jaden shutting everything down on defense. That's Julius being everywhere. I mean, if those three can click like that for 8 minutes a game, they're going to be impossible to beat.
Yeah, and then I just thought nobody in this series so far has been able to handle Julius Randle. It's not just been like this game from him. Incredible the entire playoffs. He's been awesome this whole series, and he did it again tonight. 31 points for Julius Randle, a plus 11, who's again just an all NBA performance from him. 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. Doing it, playing defense too. I saw numerous plays in the defensive end, putting in effort, and I just thought, again, this dude is proving everybody wrong, us wrong. Again, the apology form, it's out there for Randall, and a lot of people oh, we do. There's really nothing more to say. He's just incredible, and I'm excited to see Julius Randle continue to play for the rest of the series, and then of course into the next series. I guess we also have comments about Dante and just about how we brought up that he was terrible tonight. He was terrible until later in the game. Um, he was awful when he was in the beginning of the game. Then I thought he changed the game around a little bit for himself. Became playable at a certain point. Had a couple hit a couple threes. Had some good defensive plays. I know he drew an offensive foul in the game as well. So Dante kind of turned things around. But in the beginning, it was a struggle for Dante. He did look kind of all over the place, and he just has in the series. He just wasn't great in the Lakers series either. This playoffs, he hasn't been phenomenal, which I thought he was probably my X factor. In the last series, I thought I still believe in Dante. I just think it just wasn't. Sometimes it just isn't a player's game, but he ended up playing all right in the rest of the game tonight. Nas Reed tonight, I thought Nas in the beginning of the game again exploded for a little bit, then kind of went quiet, but he got in foul trouble again. Nas Reed is in foul trouble. This is the second game here. We saw in the Lakers series, he got in foul trouble, got taken out of that game. So that's a little something that he needs to work on. I feel like Nas Reed has just been fouling a lot. Jaden was in foul trouble tonight as well, and then obviously Anthony Edwards. Man, if the foul trouble doesn't happen tonight, I'm curious to see if the game doesn't, you know what I mean? If it just is a massive blowout, because I think that kind of kept Golden State lingering around for a little bit. But then again, it was nice, guys, for Anthony Edwards to get a big rest. How big is and how important is that to get him a break with, a banged up player like Ant to maybe go home to Minnesota and close it out, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. Ant is dealing with a litany of things. I've kind of done a little bit of digging since the last pod, and he's banged up. I think it's going to be big for him anytime he can rest. Really, the biggest thing is going to be if they can close this out in 5, because Denver, OKC is probably going 6 or 7. Those extra days off where you don't have to be on your ankle, you don't have to put weight on your hamstring or your groin or anything, like that's huge. I mean, the other thing
100%.
I'd say with Dante is before this Golden State series, especially, I kind of thought he would struggle just because he's a really aggressive defender. And when you're a shooter, it's hard to get into a rhythm when you're fouling or getting taken out of the game really quick. And especially like this game in particular, where there's 48 fouls in 48 minutes.
Ridiculous.
As a rhythm shooter, you really can't get into any sort of rhythm. So Dante, I mean, he did go 2 for 4 from 3. He had 4 assists to 2 turnovers. He ended up only finishing -3. I think I closed out of the box
-9.
-9. I mean, objectively, not a great Dante game. I think it's frustrating for fans, especially because he ended the season on such a hot streak, but shooting streaky. And, the Wolves really haven't needed him to win any of these games. I mean, they took care of the Lakers without any really good Dante games. They're taking care of Golden State without really any good Dante games. I would say with Nas, I'll just be honest. It was a really rough Nas game. I've talked about it all season of Nas is either really, really good or he is pretty bad, to be frank. And tonight was one of those nights where he was really handsy. He was making kind of weird decisions on defense, getting into people. And then his shot, I mean, he only shot 4 times the 20 something minutes he was out there. Yeah, 4 field goal attempts in 23 minutes. I mean, when Ant and Julius are getting just crowded, Nas has got to be getting open and shoot more. That being said, they had a bad Dante game. They had a bad Nas game, and they still ended up having a 20-point lead in the 4th quarter. And really, the game looks close if you're waking up tomorrow and seeing that it was a 7-point win. But really, Golden State was out of this game from about the 6-minute mark in the 3rd quarter. And that's pretty dominant for a Wolves team that's looking to make the conference finals.
And I feel like one more thing that I want to add in there, sorry about that, Evan, was with the whole Dante and Nas thing, just to extend your point, it just shows to you how important having depth is when you get to this point in the season. Yep. Most teams at this point in the season, like look at Golden State, you cannot afford to have a Jimmy Butler and we'll say a Brandon Pajemski. Obviously not the same situation as Nas and Dante, but those two guys have a bad game. And look what happens for Golden State. You're down 20 in the third. In the Wolves case, Dante and Nas have a bad game. You're up 20. What happens when Dante finally does have the magnet ball game and Nas Reed is on? Ant's going to do Ant. Julius is going to do Julius. Is it going to be one of those things where we're up, I don't know, 30 points? So it's just one of those things to think about. But I'm not worried about Dante. Like you said, Andrew, shooting is streaky. Rhythm shooting is one of the most underrated things, and I don't think it gets talked about enough. You get the anomalies like the Steph Currys, the Buddy Hields of the world who can just get the ball and you just think it's going in every time.
Yep.
But for Dante, like you said, it's just a matter of can you get him shots? And right now, how the Wolves are playing, there's not really a need to get Dante any shots, you know, with how Ant's playing, with how Julius is playing, with how Nikhil played tonight. Just having your one role player go out and not miss a shot just makes a world of a difference.
I think and to piggyback on that, you look at Mike Conley, who, I mean, I'll say objectively, he had a good Mike Conley game. He was 2 for 9. I mean, there was so many things this game that went wrong and they still won it. I mean, if you're a Wolves fan and you're starting to look at like, could they knock off Oklahoma City? Could they knock off Denver next round? Or even like looking into the finals, if they're playing Indiana or New York, I mean, you're able to beat, they did this to the Lakers too, where players were having bad games and they were still able to just get in the mud and come out with these wins. Honestly, I think it's really encouraging that they're winning these games despite 3 out of their 8 guys having bad shooting nights.
I think Dante is going to win a game for the Wolves. We've said it before. There's going to be a game in the playoffs, whether it's next game or the next series, where he's going to solely win it for Minnesota. That's how much we believe in him on the show. And I think there's only a matter of time you can keep a shooter down. I just wanted to point this out too, guys. 59 free throws tonight in the game. Now, that's both teams combined, but that is insane. Again, considering in the first 2 games, there basically was the refs just let them play. It was like no foul calls were out there. And then we come into last game and there was 47 free throws last game for the teams combined. Tonight, there's 59. I mean, that's ridiculous at this point. I mean, and in the first half, Golden State had 11 more free throws than Minnesota as well. I thought that's something that Minnesota did really good too in the second half. They came out of the locker room and they became more physical. I thought they upped their aggression. I thought in the first half, they were a little bit too timid on certain things, but they were hitting threes in the first half. So I will say that is probably one of the reasons why they didn't get to the line as much. But I just thought Minnesota took it to them in the second half, and they ended up kind of catching them in free throws. They're right around there. Golden State had a few more, but overall, Minnesota was so aggressive. I thought that was really big for them in the second half as well. We're going to kind of come back, guys, to the show real quick in a second. I just wanted to point out real quick that we are actually collabing with a brand out there, Vengeful, and it's good. They're going to be dropping this Friday. These shirts, they're going to be available this Friday. You can find them on social media at Vengeful. I also posted it on our X, but yeah, definitely check it out if you want some sweet Timberwolves gear. They're one of a kind collection, so when they do sell out, like last year's, they don't come back. I got asked questions last year about that. They will not be back in stock once they are gone. Last year's, I think, sold out in 10 minutes, 20 minutes. So they don't last too long, but that'll be a super fun thing. We're also partnered with SeatGeek, guys, the best ticket app out there. If you don't already have your tickets to see the Minnesota Timberwolves close out the next game in Minnesota this Wednesday, you can go on SeatGeek and get your tickets today and use our promo code, TheDailyWolves, all one word, for $20 off your next order on SeatGeek, man. All right, guys. What'd you think of I know we kind of brushed on it earlier, but I got to bring it up again. Anthony Edwards tonight. Incredible game. Last game, 36 for Ant. Tonight, came out with another monster game. Obviously didn't play because of foul trouble for that period of time, but I thought he was doing everything. He was playing defense. He was hitting the 3 ball at a high clip, probably one of his best 3-point shooting games in a long time. I thought he was an elite shooter from the perimeter tonight. That was the old Ant we always saw. And when he's shooting like that, you can't stop him. He's unguardable. And then the one thing we've talked about before on the show too, Andrew, when Ant starts talking crap, when he starts talking trash, he starts feeling himself. I thought it was big when he hit that buzzer beater before they go into halftime. After they hits that shot, you can see him going like, yeah, to the crowd, looking around, talking a little bit of stuff. That's when I'm like, uh-oh, Ant's waking up. This means something to him. He's ready to take it 3-1. What'd you think of his game overall?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good Ant game. First half,
Yeah.
he came out. He had much better than he had been. 13 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Looked a little bit more in control than he has. I mean, over the past couple of games, no turnovers in that first as well. The thing that's weird with Ant is it was that third quarter again where he just popped off 16 points in 9 minutes. I mean, he's the one that built that 20-point lead, hit back-to-back threes, 6 of 8 in that quarter. Again, only 1 turnover, drew 2 fouls as well. Like, Ant is just starting to have he's starting to figure out how much he can control a game when he's picking his spots. And I think the last 2 games, what we've seen is in the third quarter, he's just kind of, whether it's, resting in the first half, whether it's he goes into halftime, trainer works on his leg to get it a little bit looser, who knows? But he has been able to just figure out whatever the defense is doing in the first half and come out in the third quarter and just kind of decimate it. Today, the Golden State was throwing out a ton of zone, and Ant shooting broke that zone in the third quarter and kind of broke Golden State's defense for the most part. The other thing that was beneficial for Ant is, I mean, you look at his second half, and even with the, 16 points, he only played 13 minutes, which that's going to be, anytime you can save miles on the legs of your guys, that's important. If there was a nitpick I would have, because I try to be fair about it, of, no one's like the perfect player. Ant getting into that foul trouble did kind of leave the Wolves in a pretty tough spot in the fourth quarter. Their fourth quarter offense runs through Ant, and with him not out there, I mean, they had 12 turnovers in the fourth quarter alone. They were really messing up with ball movement, bringing the ball up court. Again, some of that's to be expected. The team that's down by 20 is always going to play harder than the team that's up by 20. But if Ant was out there, you'd think at least 3 or 4 of those turnovers probably didn't happen.
Yeah, because the last 2 fouls he got, one was his third foul, I think, or his fourth foul was Jimmy Butler blew by him, and he kind of like does a silly reach-in foul around him when Butler clearly is going to go to the rim. He's beat him by now. At that point, you just can't reach in for that. That's a silly foul. And then right away, you commit another foul when you come back in instantly by like running into Brandon Pujansky, which is just smart by him kind of stopping when he sees Ant. But I don't know, you kind of a reckless play there. So yeah, you got to be smart about those things and not put your team into those. That's just a 23-year-old that needs to learn about that scenario. But I think that's an adjustment. I want to get into how do they stop a couple key guys in the next game and close it out at home. But before we get into that, we have another ad read, guys.
It's playoff time in Minnesota. The energy is electric, the stakes are high, and every move counts. You can feel it, right? The momentum, the nerves, the is this really happening buzz. The spring real estate market in the Twin Cities has the same kind of energy. Headlines are flying out about interest rates, the economy, and what's coming next. It's exciting, yes, but also confusing and a little bit overwhelming. Whether you're thinking about buying, selling, or just wondering if that Zestimate is lying to you, don't overthink it. Go to wolvesrealtor.com and connect with Heather. She's not just a fan in the stands. She's on the court every day with Exit and North Star Realty, reading plays, adjusting the strategy, and helping people make confident moves, not panicked ones. Even if you're just curious or unsure about the next step, wolvesrealtor.com is where you start. No pressure, just real talk, real answers, and a game plan that actually works. Because when it comes to real estate, just like basketball, having the right coach makes all the difference. Go check out wolvesrealtor.com and tell them Matt from the Daily Wolves sent you.
Okay, going into the last game, or the next game, guys. I don't know if it's the last game yet, but in the next game on Wednesday at home in Minnesota, how do they close it out with stopping a guy like Jonathan Kuminga? I want to start with him because it seems like he's a thorn in our side right now. And I'm trying to figure out what do we need to do to stop Jonathan Kuminga. What do you think, Matt?
So I was actually thinking about that during like the third quarter. So my buddy and I were talking when he was over here, and you go down the line, right? When Jimmy Butler's on the floor, you're gonna want either Jaden or Ant on Jimmy, right?
Yep.
So I think when you look at Jonathan Kuminga, I think that he is a little bit too quick for Jaden, and Jaden's a little bit handsy. So we don't want to get Jaden into foul trouble. My one caveat I will say for this point is we're up 3-1, so I don't necessarily know if many changes do need to be made. But if there is a change that is made, maybe it's sticking Anthony Edwards on Jonathan Kuminga. You know, Ant's quick. He's physical. He's strong. But on the flip side of it, Anthony Edwards is playing such elite defense that it's kind of like, I don't know. Do you just continue to run the switch, kind of like how we have been? Do you continue to blitz? What do you do? But that's kind of the best thing that I could track it back to is maybe you go out and you stick Ant on Jonathan Kuminga, just rattle him a little bit because Ant's fiery. Ant's going to get into it. Ant's going to get into his head. Jonathan Kuminga has played great this whole series. He's by far been the Warriors' best player coming off the bench, but he hasn't played in the last month of the season outside of these last 3 games. So I feel like that might rattle him a little bit. I don't really have a ton of analysis on it, but that's where my mind goes.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Andrew?
I let Jonathan Kuminga shoot 55 times.
Okay.
I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, Kuminga's game tonight, 6 of 13 from the field. He shot 11 of 12 at the free throw line. He's probably not getting to the free throw line for 12 attempts again. And what they have going, where they have Jaden kind of shadowing Butler for the most part, Ant on pods, and then letting Rudy and Randall just deal with Draymond. I mean, it's working. Everyone on the team, I mean, I'll filter it by field goal attempt. I mean, they had 3 guys that shot over 50% that actually played more than like a few minutes. Like, it's working. I would say just keep doing what they're doing. If Kuminga's going to go like 7 of 8 from 3, I mean, you live with that because he's probably not going to be able to replicate it 3 more times this postseason. But yeah, I would keep doing what they're doing. I mean, their defense has been, rock solid this series. It was great against LA. And again, Kuminga's been having the best stretch of games in his life, and they've lost 3 out of 4. So I keep letting him play the best games of his life and keep letting him lose.
Yeah, I just love beating Jimmy Butler. I think that's the best thing about winning. More than anything, guys. I dislike that man so much. So seeing us beat Jimmy Butler has been just a privilege, man. All that time talking all that
Jimmy
smack
Butler
and doing what he did.
Jimmy Butler minus 30 tonight. Oh, Jimmy Buckets minus 30 tonight. Not pitiful. Not ideal.
Man, trying to
not
match
an ideal Jimmy Butler game.
Okay. Yeah, not ideal for Butler, but we still think he's gonna have like
minus 44.8 as a net rating for Butler.
Okay.
Yikes.
Just
not a great game.
He doesn't look aggressive like usual. And I thought he was gonna come out and have like this big we can't go down 3-1 Jimmy Butler game, bent over the counter like we saw in Miami. I thought he really was before the game. I was like, that's just what they need right now. And he just didn't look aggressive all game. And credit to Jaden. Jaden literally made his life hell. Like, I watched Jaden just put him in hell multiple times. It was awesome watching Jaden McDaniels tonight play defense, because I think the way he defended tonight was all NBA, like easily first team.
Oh, yeah.
It was awesome. It wasn't just on Jimmy. It was all over. It was switching on to different players. Kuminga, Brandon Pajensky. The way that Jaden played tonight was just – if people could just go back and watch, or somebody watching is kind enough to go make defensive highlights and find out of Jaden, it was awesome watching him play tonight. So shout out to Jaden for making Jimmy's life an absolute just hell tonight. But we'll see if Jimmy can respond. But the body language didn't look great. The Warriors, I thought once they went down that 20 points, the body language, I could start to see it. You could start to feel it. The arena, I could feel it through the TV. I saw people talking about online that it was quiet in there. Now you're going back to Target Center up 3-1. and that Target Center building is going to be rocking. It's an 8:30 tip-off. It's a little bit later of a game, right? 8:30 Central Time, which means the crowd is going to be liquored up. That's one of those crowds. So it's going to be crazy down here. And if you're going to the game, yeah, bring that energy because we're going to need everybody. Also, besides going to the game, if you guys don't already, you can go sports bet legally in Minnesota or any state by downloading Better. That is the best sports betting app out there. If you haven't heard of it, search BETR in your app store, and you can download Better on your iOS or Android device. And my favorite part about Better sports betting app is that there are injury revives. So the game that Steph Curry got hurt, it didn't matter if he was in your lineup and he was out for the game. I'm tired of losing those when I sports bet. I'm tired of losing my parlay or my fantasy lineup, but it doesn't matter because with Better, they're going to revive you. They cancel it out and you can still go win your bet. That's my favorite thing about that. When you sign up, use our promo code, the Daily SPN, all one word, the Daily, letter S, letter P, letter N. And when you put in that promo code, we're hooking you guys up with a 100% deposit match, courtesy of our friends over at Better, up to $77 on your first deposit. Any other thoughts, guys, before we kind of start wrapping up the show or anything to look forward to?
I actually do have one more thing to say, and it was kind of to your Jimmy Butler point. I'm not going to hammer on this a lot, but I think this series kind of showed us how much of an unfair expectation LeBron has given us. Jimmy Butler is 35 years old, man. Yeah. Not everybody is LeBron James. And I feel like we have taken for granted the greatness of LeBron, KD, Steph Curry, to the point where we expect Jimmy Butler to come out and just will the Warriors and score 40 points and take 35 shots, when at this point in his career, that's not who Jimmy Butler is anymore, because like you said, Evan, I was kind of expecting the same thing tonight, a little bit of oh shit, this is kind of a panic mode performance. Jimmy Butler didn't even take 10 shots tonight. So it's pretty clear that the age is getting to him. He's completely changed how he's played his game. He doesn't rely on the mid-range as much anymore. He's kind of relying more on free throws, relying on getting into the paint. He's relying on his playmaking ability, which is totally okay and what I expect from a 35-year-old. But when you do have the clutch gene that he has, you have the playoff resume that he has, you do expect a little bit more out of Jimmy Butler. And for all the Wolves fans listening, man, by all means, take 9 shots as much as you want. But just a reminder that it is kind of an unfair expectation just to expect Jimmy to come out and put up 38 and 5 on any given night.
Yeah.
I would just add to that, he did miss game 3 in the Houston series to
he's banged up.
Bone bruise on his pelvis, which that was 2 weeks ago. That doesn't heal in 2 weeks. And I don't know if either of you guys have ever had a bone bruise. It sucks. Everything hurts.
Yes.
So you look at him and how he's kind of maneuvering with the ball. He's not going to his post-up fadeaway. He's not doing as many up fakes and slamming his shoulders into guys. I think it's, a combination of age, certainly. I am 35 years old. I can attest, sometimes I sneeze and my back goes out. It's just not a great time in people's lives when you start to feel mortal. But also, he's playing hurt. It's going to come out after the series that he was, seriously hurt. And we'll have the same news cycle as the Lakers, where it's oh my gosh, the Wolves got so lucky. Just don't pay attention to it if you're Wolves fans, because there's probably half a dozen dudes on the Wolves that are also hurt. But I do think, to give Jimmy a little bit of grace, it's not what he signed up for coming to Golden State, was to try and drag them to a playoff win with a bone bruise.
And without Steph Curry, too, of course.
And without Steph Curry. Probably more important, without Steph Curry.
Yeah, so now if you're looking ahead, too, if you're Minnesota, the series, the other series, I should say, I'm sorry, I was thinking too hard, between the Denver Nuggets and the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think that's the big thing to watch now if you're a Wolves fan. It was kind of like when we were playing the Lakers and you were looking at the Warriors and Rockets. You're hoping that there's a chance that it could go to a game 7. I remember sitting there, the Warriors were up, and you're like, oh, they're going to close this out. And then the Rockets kind of come back there, force the game 7. And so I'm just hoping that, it's tied 2-2 right now, but you're hoping that Jokic and them can at least give them a game 6 there, give the Wolves some advantage rest, any rest is going to be great against that team because the Thunder, they're coming fast. And I'm not sure. I guess we'll see. I'm not sure if Denver can handle beating them in the series, but they might. I mean, they've been playing really well. You never know. And if Denver got matched up against the Wolves, I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I mean, that'd be a really fun West Finals for every single person. I think it's a rematch. It's their rivals. It's Jokic, the best player of the world, Anthony Edwards. I think it's a good matchup for the Wolves, probably better than the Thunder. So I think that's what you have to hope for if you're a Wolves fan. And then you never know, maybe the Knicks win in the East, and you got Karl Anthony Towns versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. A little bit of Julius Randle and Dante, facing their former team. That'd be a ton of fun. The Tom Thibodeau, everybody like that. I guess we'll just kind of see. So, Wednesday we'll have another show. We'll be live post game as always. And until next time, guys, go Wolves.
Go Wolves.
Go Wolves.